If you're planning on moving to Baltimore, Maryland, or the surrounding counties, you need to know these 15 things before you move here. Hey, I'm John. I'm the Charm City Property Dude. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button right here for this and all the other great videos that I have on this channel. And let's get started. You have lax bros, lax sticks. It's a whole thing with the lacrosse here, and it seems like all the colleges play lacrosse. So if you need the lax to the max, bro. Number 14. I don't know what it is about Baltimore, Maryland. Maybe it was they coined the phrase "the city that reads," but all of a sudden they started putting up all these little book huts. They give away free books. So if you ever need something to read, your kids ever need children's books, you just look around the area. There's all these little huts. You go up, you put a book in you don't need anymore for somebody else, and then you can take another book. Thousands and thousands of these are all over the place, and guess what? They're absolutely free, stacks and stacks of them. So it's like a non-profit, volunteer-driven bookstore, and then the goal was to get books to everybody at no cost. And that's just one of the things about Maryland. It's got these book huts. Number 13, Maryland, for whatever reason, has some of the most amazing sunsets, and especially if you're at the beach, it has hues of orange and clouds, and it looks like fire. If you ever see anybody standing in the parking lot taking pictures of the clouds, you know you're in Maryland. So it's a real treat. That is definitely one of the things here. I'm guilty of it of myself. I take all these pictures of clouds, especially like down at the beach, where there's some times of the year the clouds go up and the sun's setting right over top of the water. It looks like fire in the sky. So that is definitely a Maryland thing. It's got the clouds. So nice scenery that it'll bring a tear to your eye. I know it's brought a tear to my eye a couple times. Number 13, did you know that Maryland has not one, but 2 islands? They have the Assateague Island and the Shinnecock Island that's located near the beach. These islands are filled with wildlife, oysters, biking, jogging, and of course the quiet beauty and surrounding clean beaches. Everybody seems to go down there to you can actually take your 4x4 out onto the beaches, and guess what? They have wild ponies on the beaches. Now, you're not allowed to touch them, but it's like straight out of the dream. The ponies, you put your beach towel down, you put your food down, and then the ponies come up. And if they want to have their way with your stuff, the towel, you got to let them. It's the law. So, yeah, 2 islands here filled full of wildlife and everything. And if you like the recreation of biking and jogging, sightseeing, bird watching, you've got 2 islands to do it. Okay, so number 11, another humongous rivalry here is, of course, in Annapolis we have the Navy. So there's the Army from New York and the Navy from Annapolis. We have the rivalry here that the old Navy. It's good fashion rivalry, but I think the Navy leads in tradition about 58-49. But of course, the real winner of the Army-Navy game is America. But Navy's located in Annapolis. We certainly stand behind the Navy, and it's funny because you can see they usually do right before the game. They have a group of kids who they jog like 2 miles at a time. And if you know where West Point is up in New York, they take a bus filled full of sports athletes and they jog 2 miles at a time. So they stop the bus, somebody else jogs, and they do that until they get down to the Annapolis Navy Center. And that used to be an old baseball field, by the way, battlefield baseball. So I'm not a huge fan, but Lito's Pizza is like, it's a big, humongous advertising. It's a square pizza because they don't cut corners. It's a whole thing. The pizza is really, really good. The rest of the food inside Lito's, but there are other better pizza places, but you definitely know it's Maryland because it's Lito's Pizza. So that's, I like to say it's the best thing for pizza, but I know some other better places. And I've got my top 10 pizza places, and Lito's never fit in there. But if you ever come to Baltimore and you see Lito's, and I think there's 2-3 locations for that, it's a franchise, but it's square, delicious. It is delicious pizza. I don't think there's ever been bad pizza, but Lito's is pretty good. When you get a snowball, it is a ball of ice that they put different flavors and everything on top of. And then this is a traditional summer thing. You can't get them in the wintertime. Most people are closed down. And usually you start seeing these little sheds pop up all the place, and it says snowballs. Now, it might be a variation of those different words, but usually it's Icy Delight. You got a line a mile long, and my favorite is sour apple, believe it or not. I don't like marshmallow, so you get this ball ice in a cup. They do sugary syrup on top of it, sour apple. They can do sky blue, whatever flavor you want, you can get. And of course, you can get, marshmallow on top. I'm not a huge marshmallow fan, so that you definitely know you're Maryland when you start seeing those little huts popping up saying snowballs. There is a serious rival here in this state, and it's between Old Bay, which is a brand, and J.O., which is another brand. They both do, we all call it Old Bay, but they definitely have it's a rival between the two. Old Bay is made by McCormick, and J.O. is made by another independent spice company. People are 50-50 on the whole Old Bay J.O. If you're not from here, you couldn't tell the difference, but us true Marylanders, having eaten crabs and crab cakes and everything with Old Bay, definitely can tell the difference between the two. And no right-minded Marylander would have you cook anything in other than Old Bay. I mean, they have, if you ever see these people say, I need some spice, they pull out the Old Bay out of the pot and stuff. But they'd slap you across the head if you did some J.O. on that. So, if there was a favorite musical of all time, I mean, there's New York and all the musicals, but here in Baltimore, the favorite musical of all time, of course, is Hairspray. So it's Hairspray Hun. So John Travolta did Trudy Limbaugh, or whatever her name was, inside there. He tried pulling off the Baltimore accent, but I hate to tell you, he is really off. You have to live here for 15, 20 years to finally get the Baltimore accent. Maybe it's a lifetime thing. It's a curse. You hang your O's, and it's water and you washing. It's a whole thing. But if we had a favorite musical, Hairspray would be it. And the wild hair and all that. And Hamden even has the Hun Fest. The Star Spangled Banner was originally written here, and Baltimore puts the O in Oh Say Can You See. So anytime you come to Baltimore and you're watching the Ravens or the Orioles and the national anthem's playing, and all of a sudden the second verse, oh, you'll hear that in the stadium, and people look around. If you're not from here, you'll look around going, what the hell are they doing? But it's a huge Maryland thing. We all are guilty of saying, oh, say, oh. So that's a whole thing too. So you'll hear that at sports events, and people will be like, what the hell? So it's universal. You're in Maryland, and all of a sudden the national anthem has that hanging O in the middle of it. All right, so let's talk about a very touchy subject. Number 6, the Colts. The day the Colts moved out of Baltimore in 1984 on United Moving. We resent United Moving, we resent the Colts, and we resent the fact that they moved in the middle of the night and we had no idea. And it's a very touchy situation, because then, even to this day, you might go into establishments, they may have some cold stuff. I know my family owns a local establishment here called the Ballpark Restaurant, and there's a bunch of cold stuff there, but we don't ever talk about the Colts. And we had to cheer for the Redskins, that are now called the Commanders, and then we had to cheer for Pittsburgh. So there's a humongous distaste in a lot of people's mouths here in Maryland over the Colts. A lot of our folks call them horseshoe heads, or anyway. So the Colts, that's a very touchy situation. So it might actually, you start talking about the Colts or the Redskins here, might get you a little slap of the taste out of your mouths. But anyway, we do have a problem with the Colts. We don't cheer for them. We don't talk about them. So. Number 5, though, there was a day of salvation, and it was called the Browns. They moved to Baltimore, and then we changed the name from the Browns because we didn't like the Browns. We actually changed it to the Ravens. Believe it or not, Edgar Allan Poe's house is down in Baltimore, and we decided to change it to the Ravens, named after his book, The Raven. In fact, the Sun paper had like a little poll, and they had given a choice of like 4 different mascot logos and names. And out of 31,000 votes, I think 28,000 said the Raven. So that was a great salvation, because we want to cheer for the Redskins. We have another derogatory name called the Foreskins. That's what we call them here, the Foreskins. and then Pittsburgh Steelers, the Squealers, and they're crying, the cow of crying. Yeah, so we definitely are rivals with those football teams, and we were so happy. And here's another little secret too. Terry Bradshaw was doing ads for Dick's Sporting Goods, and they were like coming into the neighborhood brand new. And Terry Bradshaw had this commercial. Hey, there's a new team coming to Baltimore, blah, blah, and everybody thought it was a football team. And then when it was a sporting goods store, we wanted to punch Terry Bradshaw, right? All right, this next one, number 4. So this next one, number 4, I am not a huge fan, no way, shape, or form, and it's the beer, Natty Bo. Natty Bo. As you're driving north of 95, if you look to your left at night, you'll see the big one-eyed winking guy. You got to watch carefully because he's like this. He blinks at you as you're going up 95, and that is the emblem for Natty Bo. Natty Bo is one of those things, if you have no other beer to drink, you drink some Natty Bo, you're okay. Me personally, I had a night where I was drinking Coors Light all night, ran out. And the local 7-Eleven didn't have any more Coors Light to have. Somebody got Natty Bo. We call it Nasty Bo, because I took a drink of that. Next thing you know, it was an encore of Natty Bo followed by a whole plethora of Coors Light that came right back out. It's a disgusting beer. But it is our beer. It is Baltimore. I'm surprised. Wait a minute. They do throw Old Bay onto it. So that comes up to our next one here. If Maryland had a flavor, it would be Old Bay. Old Bay, Old Bay, Old Bay. There isn't anything we don't throw Old Bay on top of. We throw it on French fries, mashed potatoes, popcorn, you name it, crabs, seafood, shrimp, oysters, Old Bay, Old Bay, Old Bay. In fact, they're old timers that it's like when it's time to eat, they got a fork in one pocket and they got Old Bay in the other one. So that, if Maryland had a national flavor, it would definitely be Old Bay. So I'm guilty of it. I love Old Bay. It's nothing like it at all. A little like Old Bay seasoning on some French fries with some cheese and crab meat. Don't forget the crab meat. So it's crab on top of the French fries and Old Bay. I'm getting hungry. It must be around lunchtime. Okay, so number two. We're all from Maryland. We have people in Baltimore, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, Harford County, but everybody takes pride in being from the county they're from. Everybody has a special nickname for their county. In Harford County, it's Hazard County, and where I live up where my family's restaurant is, it's called Dirt City. So I may be a little bit of a redneck. I am from the hills. I'm a hillbilly. But, and I proudly wear my Maryland flag on my arm. But I am proud to say I'm from Harford County. But hey, listen, as a real estate agent, I know Harford County, I know Baltimore County, I know Baltimore City, Howard County, Carroll County, and Anne Arundel County. Those are the surrounding counties. So, yeah, I mean to say, we take great pride in being from the county. And if you come across the line and say, hey, I'm from Baltimore County, we look at it with one eye open, one eye closed. That's how we are. We take great pride in being from the counties we are. And yeah, it's a rarity. Most people live here their entire lives. I don't think they travel 5 miles from where they live. So, you know, people going saying, we got to ride to Baltimore. They're like, what? And it's only 26 miles away, but people are still like, I'm just going to stay here. Anyway, so we take great. And that finally brings us to number one. And I'm here to proclaim there is no place on this planet that serves a better crab cake than right here in Maryland. I'm going to put a number 2 on that, and that's called Maryland fried chicken. And I've been a truck driver. I drove across the country. I was in the military. I was a retired actor. I've been everywhere. And whenever they advertise Maryland crab cakes or Maryland fried chicken, I always look at it with one eye open and one eye closed, because I'm here to tell you, there is nothing. It's got to be something in the air or the water here. Just like New York. New York has the best pizza in the world, and it's something to do with the water up there and the crust. Anyway, so I went, or a little bit of a story here. I went to Alabama, and I got Maryland crab cakes. And while I was there, I got them, and I don't know what they did to them. They were nasty. They weren't Maryland crab cakes also. I brought the waiter over to the table, and I said, hey, I hate to tell you, you can tell whoever made this crap, they ain't Maryland crab cakes. I don't know what they're trying to do, and he says, okay, well, let me go get the manager. And I had a real pissed off chef coming out of the kitchen go, what do you mean they're not real Maryland crab? Blah, 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 blah. Where are you from? I said, about 20 miles north of Baltimore. He said, his face dropped a shade of white, and he was like, "I am so sorry." He says, "We can't get Old Bay down here." I was like, I get that, but he said, "We do the best we can, man." I'm like, he said, "I'm so sorry." So he was coming out to rip me a new butt because he thought I didn't know what Maryland crab cakes were, but I certainly did. And then he goes, "Hey, buddy, can you do me a favor when you get back home? Mail me some Old Bay because we can't get it down here." So that's that. No places on the planet make crab cakes better than here. And there's Maryland fried chicken. I don't know what it is. It's the water or something, but they sell it like at the gas stations. They sell it everywhere around here. It's the best chicken on the planet. I've had it other places, but it's just not the same. So anyway, that concludes the top 15 things you need to know about Maryland, Baltimore, and the surrounding counties. Things that, if you walk into some place and all of a sudden you might get a certain look, or somebody might want to smack the taste out of your mouth. We're all good for nature here. We're not going to do anything. But that concludes the 15 things you definitely need to know here. Do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button right here. And while you're hanging here, listen, I get a lot of phone calls from people just like you every day thinking about moving into the Baltimore, Maryland area. You know what? And I absolutely love it. If you text me, call me, email me any day, night, time, weekend, I promise I got your back when it comes to real estate. And it's been a joy putting this video together. Go ahead and check out these other videos right here. Go on. Right there. And I'll catch you in the next video.